The first submachine gun that defined the American infantry experience in World War II was the Thompson, a weapon that looked heavy, felt heavy, and hit even heavier. Imagine a soldier stepping off a landing craft at Normandy. Waves crashing, bullets ripping through the air, the beach a graveyard waiting to happen. And in his hands, a chunk of American steel, the Thompson M1928A1. The Thompson wasn't born in the war, but it became a legend during it. It fired .45 ACP rounds, thick, heavy bullets that punched through doors, helmets, and even enemy morale. Every burst felt like a hammer slamming repeatedly into the battlefield. Its impact on WW2? Immense. In the early war years, especially in the North African campaign, and in the jungle warfare of the Pacific, the Thompson was the king of close-quarters combat. American Rangers, paratroopers, tank crews, Marines, they all used it because it did something simple. It worked, even in sand, even in mud, even in rain-soaked jungles. On D-Day, many assault troops carried the Thompson during the storming of Omaha and Utah Beach because when you're fighting room to room, trench to trench, bunker to bunker, accuracy takes a backseat. Pure stopping power matters. But the Thompson had problems. It was expensive to make, heavy to carry, and slow to manufacture. And that brings us to the weapon that replaced it. If the Thompson was a Hollywood star, the M3 grease gun was a back-alley mechanic, dirty, simple, and brutally effective. Picture this: a tank crew somewhere in France. The tank has been hit, smoke everywhere, the soldiers scramble out. They don't have time to grab a heavy Thompson. Instead, they reach for something small, compact, and surprisingly reliable. The M3 grease gun. Why grease gun? Because it looked exactly like the mechanic's tool used in garages. Stamped metal, crude welds, a wire stock that looked like it belonged on a coat hanger. But it had one job: fire .45 ACP at close range, and it did that job beautifully. Its impact on WW2? Powerful, in a quiet and underestimated way. By 1944, the M3 became the standard American submachine gun, not because it was better than the Thompson, but because America needed millions of weapons, fast. The M3 was cheaper, lighter, and easier to mass-produce. Soldiers in Europe used it while moving through ruined cities. Tank crews loved it because it fit easily inside cramped armor hulls. Paratroopers used it because its slow rate of fire made ammo last longer during long operations. And it had another advantage: it rarely jammed, even when covered in dust or mud. The grease gun proved that war doesn't reward beauty, only efficiency. Not every American submachine gun of WW2 was a success. Some were disasters. And the Reising M50 is one of those stories. At first glance, the Reising looked great. It was lightweight, accurate, and cheaper than the Thompson. The U.S. Marine Corps received thousands of them early in the war. But then came Guadalcanal. Imagine a Marine in the thick jungles of the Pacific. It's humid, muddy, and every piece of equipment is soaked with sweat and rain. When the moment of combat arrives, he pulls the trigger, and the Reising jams. Again and again. The weapon simply couldn't survive the brutal conditions of jungle warfare. Its impact on WW2? Negative. The Reising should have helped the Marines hold the line in the early Pacific fights, but instead it nearly got them killed. Its complicated action, delicate parts, and tight-fitting components made it a nightmare. Some Marines threw the weapon into rivers and replaced it with whatever they could loot from the battlefield. The Reising M50 faded from the war as quickly as it entered. It became a lesson. In war, reliability is everything. Before the grease gun took over, the U.S. military tried something else: make the Thompson cheaper and faster to produce. This gave birth to the M1 and M1A1 Thompson. When you first see it, you notice something missing: the famous drum magazine that gangsters used in the 1930s. American soldiers in WW2 didn't need flashy drums. They needed reliability, and the box magazine gave them that. Think of a paratrooper on the night before D-Day. He jumps from AC-47 aircraft into the darkness of Normandy. On his chest, tied to a rope, is a compact M1A1 Thompson. He hits the ground, cuts the rope, and the weapon is ready. The M1A1 was lighter, simpler, and more durable than earlier models. Its internals were redesigned for wartime use. Fewer parts, less machining, less cost. Its impact on WW2? Enormous. From Italy to France to the Pacific Islands, the M1A1 Thompson was the dominant American submachine gun until the grease gun replaced it. Rangers used it during the raid on Point du Hoc. Paratroopers used it throughout Operation Market Garden. Marines carried it across island after island in the Pacific. It was the perfect balance between firepower and reliability. There's one more American submachine gun, almost forgotten today, the United Defense M42, or UD M42. You won't see this gun in many documentaries, but it played a unique role in WW2. Instead of being used heavily by U.S. infantry, this weapon became a favorite of the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, America's Wartime Intelligence and Covert Operations Group. Think of small resistance groups behind enemy lines, French partisans in the countryside, Norwegian saboteurs blowing up railways, Dutch resistance fighters ambushing patrols. Many of them were armed with the UD M42. Why? Because the weapon was extremely accurate and well-built. It used 9mm ammunition, which was easy to find in Europe. And unlike many early war weapons, it was reliable and smooth to operate. Its impact on WW2? Silent, but significant. The UD M42 didn't storm beaches or clear jungles. Instead, it fueled the underground war, a hidden conflict that weakened the German occupation and supported Allied movements across Europe. It was the gun of sabotage, rebellion, and resistance. Not famous, but quietly important.